the most hilarious and smartest games I have ever played has been the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe Edition. If you've played it, you know exactly what I mean. If you haven't played it, it's a wild ride. It's about an employee named Stanley who gets up from his desk to find all of the employees in his office have gone missing. From there, you must explore the office while listening to someone called the Narrator literally narrate everything that is happening in the most comedic and hilarious way. There's this running gag in the game about Stanley falling in love with a bucket that the narrator places outside his office. This bucket sits on a red pillow with tassels and is placed on top of a Roman Ionic pedestal. It's ridiculous fun. Well, you guys know that I love props from movies and video games, and I thought that Stanley's Reassurance Bucket would be an awesome addition to the decor at the Time Rift Arcade. So, let's make one. So the first thing I did was run down to the big orange Homer and buy a bucket. But guys, come on, this just won't do. It's gotta have the artwork on it. It's gotta say property of Stanley. So I popped into Illustrator and whipped up the artwork, matching what we see in the game, but also adding some touches for the Time Rift. We're often asked how we print the artwork for all of our arcade restorations. Generally speaking, we print it in-house on this HP latex printer. It prints durable latex ink onto large sheets of vinyl. Once the sheet comes off the printer, we transfer it to a large format vinyl cutter. The vinyl cutter reads a barcode to get the Illustrator cut lines, and then uses a robotic head to cut out each individual piece. Once the cutter is done, all you have to do is weed the excess vinyl to reveal each individual sticker. Now, applying the decals here takes a little patience. The surface is curved and has ridges, so I'll speed it up so you don't have to wait. At this point, the narrator would say, "There, now it's settled. No more debate. Take a hike, broom closet. This is Stanley's bucket." And it looks amazing. So this next piece took some effort. Stanley's bucket sits on a very unique Ionic column that I could not find for sale in the US. I finally found it for sale at a place called the Greek Art Shop in, of all places, Greece, and paid to have it shipped all the way around the world to Texas. After removing all these packing peanuts, I finally got to see it for the first time, and I am so overjoyed that I cannot contain my laughter. It's the right one. It's perfect. I was really worried that after all the effort I went to, it wouldn't be right, but I could not be more happy. It's the same exact Ionic column from the game, and it's real plaster. It's not a plastic knockoff. Of course, we also have to have the red pillow. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, we have to bring the narrator to life. To make the narrator talk, I'm going to mount an ESP32 microcontroller, an MP3 module, and a speaker on the inside of the bucket. To do that, we need something to hide it and mount everything to. So with this piece of MDF, I'm essentially going to make a cork to go inside the bucket that everything mounts to. Here I'm using my disc sander to create a 10-degree bevel on the cork. This will match the inside of the bucket. With this bevel, the cork will sit perfectly at the height we want it to without any other supports. With my drill press, I'm going to drill holes for the speaker, both to mount it and to allow sound to pass through. A built-in speaker grill, if you will. And it drops in just like that. And I can easily get it out later if I need to do maintenance. To make it look nice, I'm going to shoot it with a couple of coats of primer, followed by 3 coats of a semi-gloss black. On the front side of the bucket, I'm going to drill a 1/2 inch hole with a step bit. This will be for the button that activates the narrator. And to make it obvious that you can interact with the bucket, I've created this Press Me sticker in the same style as the rest of the artwork. This is just like cutting out the buttonholes on an arcade control panel overlay. Ugh, the feels. On the back side of the bucket, I drilled another 1/2 inch hole and placed a rubber grommet inside it. This hole will be used to feed a USB-C power cable into the bucket. Okay, so the next day after the paint dried, I got to work assembling all of the components that make up the Narrator. This is essentially nothing more than an ESP32 dev kit, an MP3 player module that includes a 5-watt amplifier, and a speaker. The MP3 module has an SD card slot, and I simply copied a bunch of the clips of the Narrator talking over to the card. When you press the button on the front of the bucket, the ESP32 will command the MP3 player to play the next file on the SD card. An ESP32 is like totally overkill for this task, but it costs less than $5 and it allows me to do some upgrades in the future. I'll post a fritzing wiring diagram and the code on the Time Rift Arcade website if you're interested in how it all works. Another reason I went this route is because the entire project can be easily powered from a single small USB charger. In the future, I could add LEDs, a motion sensor, servos, or other things to make the prop more fun and entertaining. And so with everything all wired up, I just mounted the boards to the bottom of the cork using some wood glue. At the arcade, the Stanley Parable Bucket is supposed to be interactive. But at the same time, I don't want anyone to pick the bucket up and walk off with it. So what I'm going to do is bolt the bucket to the Ionic pedestal. This way the bucket and the pillow will be held firmly in place. To make this work, I drilled a hole through the pedestal, the pillow, and the bucket, and then used a long bolt with lock nuts and fender washers placed strategically to make everything line up. Yup, I drilled a hole through a pillow. Pretty sure that makes me crazy. I mean, I guess if making a talking bucket wasn't enough already. And with everything finished, we just need to drop the Narrator into the bucket. I also wanted the handle to stay upright, just like in the game, so I bent the tabs over to hold it up.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal. It's sad. I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
Okay, so if you have not played the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, I promise you it's a wild ride and you will absolutely love it. But I have some even better news. For those of you that have, I have fallen so much in love with the bucket that I have buckets literally coming out my ears. And if you leave a comment in the video that says you want a Stanley bucket, you will be signed up and I will contact lucky winners. I've got 5 of these. So 5 people can win a Stanley bucket. Just put something in the comments that says you want one. All right, well, it's time to take this over to the arcade and put it on display so that customers can interact with it.
does this Stanley guy think he is anyway? It's not his bucket. It's my bucket. My bucket.